One of the most toxic traits of the corporate world is it rewards the most awful people, while people like you who are great at their jobs and are full of potential are not getting the pay, the promotions, or the praise that you deserve. In my corporate career, this drove me nuts. So I set out to find out why it was happening. Aside from the obvious, I discovered that there are 5 reasons why the worst people succeed at work that anyone should leverage to make succeeding at work fair. We need to start by debunking one of the biggest career success myths out there. How many times have you been told that if you want to succeed, you need to work hard? It probably started when you were in grade school. Your parents and your teachers told you that if you worked hard enough, you would get good grades. So you did. And your hard work was rewarded with good grades, at least most of the time. Those grades got you praise from your parents, admiration from your friends, and maybe even got you into a top university. You also probably participated in some sport or hobby where you were also told that your hard work would pay off with better performance, whether that was in basketball, softball, or dance. The harder you trained, the better you got, and you found yourself winning more. Naturally, when you entered the work world, you were once again told that if you worked hard, you would get ahead. Your work ethic has rewarded you your entire life, so you did what you always do. You worked your ass off, and in no time, you weren't just meeting expectations, you were exceeding them. Your performance reviews were glowing, and maybe you even got a promotion or two very early on. But now, your performance is still exceptional, but your career trajectory, not so much. Awful coworkers know that hard work gets you more work, not more rewards. It's just like how there was that slacker at school who never studied but got good grades, either because they had a photographic memory or because they were cheating. There's always that one lazy coworker who doesn't want to do any real work, but all the higher-ups love them. They constantly go on about how great they are and how much potential they have, and despite the fact that they do F all, they get all the recognition and opportunity that you don't. Which is wild because your performance is quantifiably better. On every measure and every metric, you are better than them. I mean, you make sure of it, and you have the receipts to prove it. But here's the thing, through your hard work and your overperformance, you made yourself irreplaceable. So they're not going to promote you. Here's your manager's POV, and probably their managers too. You are a reliable high performer on the team. They know that they don't have to worry about the team hitting their numbers as long as you're around. In months and quarters where it has been a close call, you have gone above and beyond to make it happen. Whether that involved your direct work or you helping your coworkers by picking up the slack a certain someone left lying around. But you're more than that. You're the glue that holds the team together. You're there for your coworkers when they need an ear. You keep your coworkers motivated, and frankly, you make your boss's job so much easier. They could not do it without you. If you ever leave, not only is the team effed, they're effed. Now, is that manager going to promote you and advocate for your career growth? If they're a great leader, they're going to. But chances are they're mediocre, which is why they rely on you so much. And since they rely on you, they don't want to let you go. Instead, they're going to lean on you. They're going to give you the work that no one else will do because you'll do it without complaining. You'll do the invisible work that needs to get done that will make them look good and keep your potential on the down low. Your hard work is rewarded with more work. It doesn't help that you bring that high performer energy to everything that you do. There is no task too big or too small for you to exceed expectations on. Which brings us directly to the second reason why your incompetent coworker gets paid, promoted, and praised while you get passed over and ignored at work. A lot of my clients struggle with this, especially if they have had a toxic work experience. In fact, it is so common that even though I'm talking to you through a screen, I bet you've had this experience before, and it's never more evident than when you start a new job. So let me ask you, have you ever put in extra effort to prove yourself at a new job? You make sure that you're the first one in and the last one to leave, even if you don't really know what you're doing yet. You make a point of participating and contributing, especially when your boss is in the room. And you take on the grunt work to pay your dues. Drop guilty in the comments if you've ever done this. To a certain degree, this is natural. You want to make a positive first impression. The gotcha is, at some point, do you stop trying to prove yourself? Overperformance is a problem at work. but it's a problem the worst people do not suffer from. They bring little energy and little effort to most of their jobs because they know the secret. Your effort only matters when it will be rewarded. Instead, your awful coworker focuses on strategic achievement. I know half of you are like mind blown right now, and the rest of you are immediately defensive because that's not fair. But you've seen these lazy coworkers slack off and do F all until there was highly visible work. Then they served, acting like this is how they always roll. It's frustrating to witness. You know it's a farce, but you know who doesn't? The higher ups. They don't have day-to-day exposure to your awful coworkers' incompetence. Even if you point out their general laziness or uselessness, they don't really care. Because the things these coworkers are half-assing are things that don't really matter. And perfectionist over performance will pick up the slack, so it's not really a problem. Of course, your incompetent coworker also has no problem stepping into the spotlight when it serves them and will help them build their reputation and their relationships with the people with the power to promote them. You've probably even been in the situation where they take credit for your work in the process, which brings us directly to the next reason why your awful coworker succeeds. But before we can get into that, there is one thing that holds so many people back in their careers and frankly keeps them overperforming and miserable at work with the same pattern of being passed over for their lazy, incompetent coworker. They have post-toxic job syndrome. Toxic workplaces do a number on you, like playing favorites with your awful, incompetent coworker. It's crucial for you to identify if your toxic work experience is still holding you back, and in what ways. To help you, I developed a quiz that will help you assess if you have post-toxic job syndrome and give you practical tactics to get over your toxic job once and for all. You can take it for free at toxicjobquiz.com. At almost every company I worked with a Chad. You know the type. He's generally the guy with his feet up on the desk, slacking off, leaving his coworker scrambling to do his work so that they don't get in trouble, because of course, for some reason, Chad will never get in trouble. When he's not relaxing, he can be found schmoozing with leadership, sharing ideas that he stole from his coworkers and you, and of course, taking credit for their work. Chad might be a Nepo baby, and if his dad didn't give him his job, it's probably his golf buddy that did. Despite his profound mediocrity when it comes to the actual job, Chad is the embodiment of the Dunning-Kruger effect. Since the higher-ups have no idea what his job is or how things actually operate, they're impressed by him. Chad's shamelessness pays off. He will not think twice about bragging about this incredible thing that he did, even when that incredible thing was a mistake that you had to fix. He doesn't think twice about neglecting his job to do the most important work, building his reputation and his relationships at work. I mean, I don't think he really thinks about anything at all. This frustrated me so much early in my career until I figured out that anyone could do the exact same thing. You don't even have to suck at your job like Chad does to steal a strategy. In fact, you have more than enough time in your day for both strategic achievement and shameless self-promotion. According to one theory, your performance at work only has a 10% influence on your career success. What's more important? For starters, your image, which is your professional reputation. The worst people at work know it's not the perception of their coworkers that's important. It's the opinions of the people that have the ability to promote them, which is why they shamelessly suck up and self-promote to the higher-ups while being awful to their peers. Which brings us to the most important factor to your career success, and that is exposure. Your lazy coworker knows that what they do matters less than the visibility they're able to achieve at work. They will exploit any opportunity to get on the radar of the senior and executive leaders. They also know that once they have gained visibility and made a positive impression, whether that impression has merit or not, they will get more visibility and more opportunities. Visibility begets visibility and positions them for more career success, and it makes it harder for others to break through. While some of these coworkers truly reserve their best effort and ideas for the situations where that exposure has presented itself, I know many of you have been in a situation where they have achieved that exposure at someone else's expense, maybe even yours. Because these awful coworkers aren't just shameless at self-promoting, they are shameless about taking credit for work that they did not do. Whether it's taking credit for the collective work that went into a project and pretending that they led the whole thing when you all were picking up their slack, or taking credit for your ideas, they make themselves accountable for success. success while having no accountability for failure. Which brings us to the next reason why your awful coworker succeeds at work. It's actually what makes them awful, and you're going to hate me when I say this. They're doing this one thing right. If you've ever had an awful, incompetent coworker, you know that they are untouchable. You can expose them for not contributing, and management will just shrug their shoulders and then probably gaslight you to make you think that you're the problem.
Sounds like the problem is you weren't willing to help.
I worked with one awful person who vocally hated and disrespected women, and almost every woman at the company complained about him. And every single one of those complaints was met with,
"What are we supposed to do about it?"
Spoiler, the answer was fire him. However, I digress. Your awful coworker is in the position where higher ups don't see their incompetence and really go out of their way to protect them because they play the game. Actually, they're not playing it. They're running it. Office politics give most people the ick because of the way that these awful coworkers engage. Their shamelessness isn't reserved for their self-promotion. It extends to destroying others. They will not think twice about blaming you for their mistakes, taking credit for your work, and sabotaging you in front of the executives to make themselves look better. These are the worst kind of office politics, and the kind that you should rightfully avoid. In fact, I know my career besties are absolutely unwilling to play that game. However, if you don't engage in office politics at all, you lose by default. But there is a positive, powerful, and authentic way to engage that I teach my clients in my Power Moves Mastery workshop. I also have a ton of videos, and I'm doing more short videos to get you insights faster. All office politics is influence building. There are ways to do that without selling your soul, and there's ways that your incompetent coworker does it that you could never stomach. But there's a simple reason why they can. They do not give an F. They only care about the opinions of people who have the ability to advance their career, their success, and their paycheck. They are completely unbothered by everything else. You, on the other hand, you're struggling with people pleasing and trying to make everyone like you. But in the process, you're stressing out and exhausting yourself, which drains your energy and your confidence at work. Similarly, your awful coworker doesn't really care about any outcome at work. They don't care if a project fails, if everyone hates them. Heck, even if the company flops, because they aren't attached to a specific outcome or opportunity, and they know there are plenty more opportunities out there for them. And that belief makes it their reality. In fact, if there's just one thing that you put into practice from this video, I want it to be detaching at work. Because when you detach from a specific situation or outcome, not only are you freeing yourself from the unnecessary stress and drama, you are owning your power and opening the path to abundance and success. Exactly 0 of my own career growth opportunities were expected, and that has been true for almost every single one of my clients. The tricky thing is, detaching is hard. So I want you to go watch this video next to learn exactly how to detach at work.